When Tyler Perry's name first became tied to Meghan Markle's story, everyone thought it was about kindness, protection, and friendship. After all, Perry famously opened his home to Meghan and Harry when they broke free from the royal family. To the public, it looked like a modern fairy tale twist, a Hollywood powerhouse shielding a royal runaway. But now, the whispers around Perry's name have taken a far darker turn. Allegedly, Perry isn't just a guardian in this story. He's also the man who held tapes, private yacht recordings, footage no one was ever supposed to see. And when word leaked that these tapes might have slipped online, Meghan's reaction was nothing short of frantic. Reports claim she rushed back to the United Kingdom, her team in chaos behind the scenes, pulling strings, making calls, trying desperately to contain whatever storm was about to break. The panic wasn't about gossip columns or old party photos. It was about something far more dangerous, because these tapes, if real, strike at the most persistent, most poisonous rumor that has haunted Meghan for years: the accusation that she was once a yacht girl. That phrase alone drips with scandal. At face value, it sounds harmless. Just women on glamorous boats under summer skies, champagne glasses in hand, celebrities mingling with billionaires. But those who know the coded meaning understand it's not just about tanning on decks and sipping cocktails. No, yacht girl carries shadows. Allegedly, it refers to women recruited to entertain powerful men on floating playgrounds. Companionship, parties, arrangements whispered about, but never admitted out loud. This wasn't some fringe conspiracy born on gossip blogs. Back in 2013, The Hollywood Reporter ran an expose about Cannes Film Festival, where super yachts weren't just backdrops for fashion shoots. They were stages for whispered deals, blurred boundaries, and beauty treated like currency. Once an actress's name got tied to that phrase, yacht girl, it never really washed off. It clung like a permanent stain, no matter how much success she achieved. And that's where Meghan's story gets explosive. She wasn't just another actress, she would become a duchess, stepping into the most scrutinized family in the world. But the whispers about her didn't start with Harry or with the royal wedding or even with her rise to international fame. No, the seeds of this rumor were planted years earlier, in what seemed at the time like an innocent blog post. Back in 2014, Meghan was still the hustling actress from Suits, scribbling entries for her lifestyle blog, The Tig. She wasn't a duchess yet, not even a household name. She was just Meghan, ambitious, stylish, chasing her version of the good life. That year, she posted a glowing travel piece called The Dalmatian Coast, Croatia. It was dreamy. Turquoise waters, cobbled coastal towns, sunlit photos of Meghan smiling by the Adriatic, hair loose, skin bronzed. On the surface, it was nothing but a holiday postcard from a young woman savoring her adventures. But hindsight turned that harmless entry into fuel for suspicion. Why? Because those same Croatian waters weren't just famous for their beauty, they were infamous for something else. Yacht Week, a floating festival of hedonism, where luxury yachts bounced from island to island packed with music, strangers, alcohol, and nights that blurred into whispered stories no one dared to write down. Meghan never mentioned Yacht Week. She never described wild parties or shadowy invitations. She only wrote about travel and turquoise seas, but for those determined to connect dots, that post became the first breadcrumb. Proof she had been there, proof she touched those waters, proof she was close enough to the world of yacht parties for critics to later weaponize. And they did. 2 years later, in 2016, Croatia came back into Meghan's life in a way that was far more scandalous. A Toronto native named Adam Hahn allegedly invited Meghan to join him and his friends for, you guessed it, Yacht Week. For anyone unfamiliar, Yacht Week markets itself as the best week of your life, a week-long carnival at sea. But beneath the branding, it has a reputation. Blurred boundaries, glamour and excess, young actresses brushing shoulders with wealthy men in scenes few cameras ever capture. Now here's the kicker. Whether Meghan ever said yes doesn't matter. There's no proof she attended. By most accounts, she didn't respond. But the fact that someone felt confident enough to invite her at all, that was enough for gossip hunters. To them, the invitation itself was proof. Proof she fit the profile. Proof she was close enough to be considered. Proof she was orbiting the edges of that glittering, dangerous world. And of course, Meghan's online presence only made things worse. Like many actresses in her era, she had plenty of carefree vacation photos, sun-drenched trips, smiles on boats, bikinis on decks. To ordinary fans, they were harmless snapshots of a woman enjoying life. But to gossip forums, these pictures became coded messages. Anonymous, blind items began floating around, never naming Meghan directly, but strongly hinting. According to these whispers, bikini photos weren't just about showing off vacations. Allegedly, they were signals, silent advertisements, an unspoken code aimed at the wealthy, available, willing, ready for a luxury weekend, and Meghan's name got slipped quietly into those whispers. Suddenly, those smiling vacation shots didn't look like memories. To the rumor mill, they looked like signals. That's the cruel thing about perception. One person's coincidence is another person's proof. In Meghan's case, gossip didn't need evidence. It only needed possibility. But for a rumor to stick, there has to be a bridge. Someone who connects the dots, someone who makes the whispers sound plausible. And in Meghan's story, that person was Marcus Anderson. Marcus Anderson wasn't just a friend in Meghan's circle. He was the connector, stylish, polished, always photographed by her side. Marcus was part of the exclusive Soho House network. To outsiders, it looked glamorous. Brunches, cocktails, celebrity mingling in candlelit lounges. But to insiders, Soho House was more than a club. It was a gateway, a world where CEOs, Hollywood stars, and political insiders rubbed shoulders away from prying cameras. And Marcus? He held the keys. On the surface, he was Meghan's confidant, her +1 to dinners and events. But whispers painted him differently. They claimed Marcus was the kind of man who could quietly introduce ambitious actresses to powerful benefactors under the cover of social gatherings. And that single possibility, that he could, gave Meghan's yacht girl rumors oxygen. Because by the mid-2000s, whispers already tied Soho House insiders to the same jet-set social circles as Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. London, New York. The same glossy, velvet-draped world where wealth and influence cloaked everything. With Marcus in Meghan's life, the gossip suddenly sounded less like fantasy and more like a plausible possibility. And that's when another name made the whispers sound deafening: Prince Andrew. Unlike Meghan, Andrew's yacht life wasn't rumor. It was documented. Decades of photographs plastered across tabloids showed him surrounded by young women on Mediterranean yachts. His name was openly tied to glamorous companions like model Alexandra Escott. These weren't blind items. These were facts, archived in magazines and paparazzi shots. And then the darker truth emerged. Andrew wasn't just a man enjoying yachts. He was tangled undeniably in Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's web, a network infamous for exploiting young women under the polished veil of high society. So, when Meghan Markle's name began circulating with the term yacht girl, people didn't separate the stories. They merged them. A real prince with a real yacht history made Meghan's alleged involvement feel more like a missing piece of a scandal than idle gossip. And then came 2021, the moment when this gossip nearly escaped the tabloids and crashed into a courtroom. Virginia Giuffre, Epstein's most well-known accuser, filed a lawsuit against Prince Andrew. Her claims shook the monarchy to its very core. And as her legal team prepared their case, they weren't just looking at Andrew. They examined his circle, his family, his connections, and suddenly, Meghan Markle's name surfaced in legal chatter. David Boies, Virginia's lawyer, told the press he was considering deposing Meghan. Imagine that for a moment. Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, questioned under oath about Jeffrey Epstein. Not as an accused, but as someone who might have knowledge. The possibility was surreal, unprecedented. The idea of Meghan in a courtroom, her voice echoing across headlines tied to one of the most scandalous cases of the century. Individually, none of this proves anything, but together, the fragments formed a picture too sharp to ignore. A house built from whispers, coincidences, and photographs that, when lined up, looked far less like fantasy and far more like possibility. And in scandals like this, possibility is enough. It doesn't take hard evidence to keep a rumor alive. It only takes enough shadows to make people wonder what's hidden in the dark. And this is where everything spirals into the present. Tyler Perry, the man once hailed as Meghan and Harry's rescuer, their guardian angel in California, suddenly finds his name in the middle of the storm. Whispers say Perry had tapes, private yacht recordings, footage that was never meant for the public eye. And when word leaked that these tapes might have slipped out into the shadows of the internet, Meghan's world shook. Reports claim she didn't hesitate. She rushed back to the United Kingdom, scrambling to manage the fallout before the whispers grew into a roar. Why the urgency? Why the panic? Because if those tapes exist, they aren't just about parties or celebrity chatter. They allegedly cut straight into Meghan's deepest shadow, the accusation that she was once a yacht girl, the rumor she's been running from for nearly a decade. Think about it. This accusation has never really gone away. It's stalked her like a ghost, resurfacing every time she tries to step forward. It's the one story her critics never let die. And now, with Perry's name tied to private recordings, those whispers suddenly feel dangerous again. Because gossip is one thing, but tapes? Tapes change everything. And here's the chilling part. Meghan's past already drifted close enough to Epstein's orbit that lawyers thought she might have information worth hearing under oath. That alone proves how perilously close her name came to being cemented in this world of scandal. Now imagine actual recordings tying her to yachts, parties, or people she desperately wants to keep out of her story. The implications are catastrophic. This is why her team moved quickly, why she crossed borders in a rush, why silence suddenly hung so heavy. Because silence in the world of royalty and power isn't neutral. Silence protects, silence shields. Silence buries secrets deeper than any courtroom ever could. But here's the question no one wants to ask out loud. What happens if those secrets resurface? What if the tapes really do exist? What if they're pieced together into something undeniable? That's the danger. This story doesn't need hard proof to haunt Meghan. It only needs to live in the shadows, whisper just loudly enough to remind everyone of what could be hiding beneath the surface. And that's where we are today. Meghan rushing across borders, her team working overtime, Tyler Perry's name entangled in whispers no one can quite silence. The yacht girl rumors she's fought for years suddenly revived, more dangerous than ever. And so we're left with one final chilling question. Not whether Meghan was a yacht girl, but who wanted that story buried in the first place, and what will happen if it refuses to stay buried.